Well, thanks for joining us on 7 for 12 Live, the end of another fantastic day of Test match cricket. This is the place to be for all the review of the Test series between India and England. And we've had it all. England bowling well, India batting well, a moron run on the pitch, a banner with a message to the ECB. Don't forget to like, subscribe and review.
Well, here we are then. India have batted brilliantly on day 3. There were some who were thinking of packing up their bags and checking out of their hotels this morning, especially when we saw the cloudy skies overhead, but India have made a mockery of that. They batted brilliantly on day 3. Scores of note from Sharma, Pujara and Kohli, the latter still at the crease when Stumps was called at about 6:15. India, who had a 0% chance of winning this game according to WinViz at one stage, well, might be holding out outside hopes that they may be about to perform their own Headingley miracle here at the bastion of English cricket. England will be sleeping nervously tonight, you feel, after Pujara inched towards 100 and Kohli looking at a half century. Plenty of action still in this game and plenty to look back on as well today on 7 for 12.
Well, John, I mentioned the banner because there was a message from somebody to the ECB about Test match cricket. That was, for me, a compelling, fascinating, fantastic day of Test cricket, contest between bat and ball. But I think the one serious question I need to ask you first is, did you enjoy that fish and chips?
Oh, mate, did I? I mean, I don't know if the viewers in India noticed there's a little tub, polystyrene tub with some dark kind of browny yellow sauce. It looks like there's a lot of tamarind in there. Essentially, that's called curry sauce. I mean, it's a northern thing, really. You don't really find it in the south of England, but it's damn tasty. I don't know what's in it, but it's good. Let me ask you a question though. How's your nerves?
Oh,
because you were tipping a comfortable England victory by now, and look, I'm still here. I've had to ring my missus, and I hope she's not watching because I've promised her definitely back by Saturday. Now I'm like, oh no, I've got to be at my mum and dad's for a roast dinner on Sunday afternoon. I'm going to be with the kids. Now I'm like, oh, I might still be in Leeds.
Yeah, I don't know about curry sauce. I was expecting a celebratory pint right about now in England, having a very, very good victory. And the nerves are, well, they're still not too bad. I still believe England will win. I still believe England will win relatively comfortably. And why I say that is because of looking forward at India's tail. Look, they've got 4 number 11s. There's still a suspect in the middle order. But, boy, we've seen some good cricket, some positive cricket and some good signs for India because I thought Pujara batted beautifully. England didn't bowl badly by any stretch of the imagination, I don't think. But Pujara played watchful. He punished the bad ball. And the ego of Virat Kohli, well, the ego and the aggression stayed. First of all, the aggression stayed on the field in the first innings when England were batting, and the ego stayed in the dressing room. Very much watchful, very much within himself, and a little confidence booster. And ominous signs, I think, for England moving forward because has Virat Kohli just found his touch?
Yeah, I mean, England fans will be hoping not, but he looked, apart from one delivery which spanned through the gate and just went over a middle stump by Joe Root against the seamers, didn't look really troubled, did he? But there was an interesting statistic I saw thanks to CricViz, and they were picked up on the full shot percentage, essentially. It was almost identical for the morning session today as it had been in the morning session and throughout that tumultuous session and a half that India faced, and they were bowled out for 78. They basically played the same amount of full shots, but the edge just wasn't taken. And that very much is cricket, isn't it? Day one was England's day, and day three's been India's day. Now, credit to India. I thought they batted really well. I thought Sharma, I was really interested to see how Rohit Sharma was going to go about things. I couldn't believe he'd go about things the same way that he did on day one, where, of course, he Dom Sibley liked that first session, but he stayed true to his game and played true to the game that he showed on day one. That wasn't a one-off. It was about crease occupation, seeing off the new ball, seeing off a real testing spell. He managed to do that. And maybe slightly unfortunate not to get.
Yeah, I knew it was out.
I thought maybe, but there was another moment in there as well. So I thought he played well. And when he was out, it was just after the tea break, and I wonder actually. I thought it was a tea break wicket as well. I think maybe if that same delivery had taken place before the tea break, he would have got a bit of bat on it. So but that opened the door for England. Had a 2-hour session ahead. It's been cloudy all day today. Kohli comes to the crease. The fans were on his back, and it just didn't happen. I mean, India just took the tension out of the game, and I think a lot of that has got to do with the way that Pujara went about his innings, because he wasn't like Pujara that we've seen in the past, where he's kind of like clinging on. He was down the wicket to the spinners. He was playing nicely through mid-wicket. Obviously, great defensive resolve, but his strike rate, actually, he was scoring quicker than Sharma and Kohli. So I thought it really took the pressure out of the situation very, very well indeed.
He did, and the thing I liked about Pujara was he put the bad ball away. He didn't, not so much a bad ball, but he looked to hit the straight ball, and he hit it for 4. And I don't blame England for bowling that way. People might say, well, England bowled both sides of the wicket. They bowled too straight at Pujara. I'd be bowling straight at Pujara because of the way he's playing at this moment in time. He looked, in this series so far and leading into this series, he's looked as somebody that the world's on his shoulders. He's not the ball that's bowled in and around off stump. He looks as though he's either he's going to miss it, brings LBW into play, or the one just on fourth stump, his bat's coming from sort of second slip and he's curtain railing it and he's losing his balance, heads falling over and he's nicking it to slip. So I would be bowling straight at Pujara, and by the time England got back to bowling, a good Test match channel length, he had 45, nearly 50 on the board. So, fair play to Sharma. I think sometimes you do have to doff your cap and say, well played. I thought England bowled really well. I thought Robinson was excellent. I thought Jimmy looked a bit tired, but that's expected because of what's been asked of Jimmy recently. And I thought Overton came in and done a fantastic job. And we have to be mindful and careful of judging sometimes when if batsmen score and you don't take too many wickets. We've got bowlers here who have been playing in the 100, bowlers here who have been playing the shorter format of the game, who haven't got miles in the legs that they would normally have. And I think that is something that when you do start trying to pick bones out, be critical of what situation the game is or where today has gone. Just remember that we aren't playing a great deal of cricket at this moment in time and getting miles in the legs for the seamers. And I think that showed a little bit today. I really did. But all in all, I thought it was a fantastic day of Test match cricket. And it shows that the game's not dead because the Western Terrace were vocal. There was fancy dress everywhere. The atmosphere was brilliant. We've seen great of the game perform very, very well. And who doesn't love Test cricket?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's actually hear from Craig Overton, who's been speaking, and he was asked about those innings by Pujara and also Kohli.
We have to be on it from ball one, and hopefully we get those a couple of early press home. Obviously, if they start really well, then we've got a real scrap game in.
Yeah, I mean, the point he's making is that it's really looking ahead to tomorrow, isn't it? Because the new ball is due. Joe Root decided to bowl the spinners towards the end because it got really murky. So they would have had to have gone off if Anderson had bowled. And he just got England up to that 80 over mark. And then he said, I'm bringing Anderson on now. He knew that play would be finished then. It was the right call, actually. He could have got Kohli's wicket as well because he did get one to turn and bounce over middle stump. But I mean, they always say the new balls and the first session is going to be crucial. But I mean, in a million ways, that's going to be the case, because if India can get to lunch one down, and they've knocked off another 80 or 90. The new ball's past them. The deficit's down to 50, 7 wickets in hand. Suddenly, England are going to be like, they are the ones who are going to start stressing. But the flip of that is, of course, the new ball is due. I mean, I don't think the weather's going to be quite as bad tomorrow as it's been for the last few days. But it's going to be a pivotal hour in this Test match and the series in as a whole, you'd imagine. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think the one thing that we can be certain on is there's going to be a result in this Test match. I don't think the draw is in the equation. I really don't. Even if India bat all day tomorrow, there's still another full day of 90 overs with no rain around or forecast or anything. I know we can't really say too much about the rain forecast in this country because the weather forecaster couldn't get yesterday right, never mind anything else. So you look at 2 full days cricket, there's going to be a result either way. If it's England, then great, series alive, go to the Oval with some question marks on which bowlers they're taking, which ones are fit. If it's India, and there would be another epic Headingley miracle. If it's India, well, you might as well give them a trophy now and send them home because get on with the IPL because I don't know where England will recover from that. So for me, yes, I agree. It's pivotal. First up tomorrow morning, I expect England to fire, and India are still a long, long way away from getting back into this Test match. You know, I still think if India have any chance to win this game, Virat's got to get 150, Pujara's got to get 150, and Rahana's got to get a big, big score. Because looking at what comes after that, I think England will be fairly confident that they could get the rest for between sort of 50 and 75, or less than 75 runs.
Yeah, bearing in mind England were bowled out inside 60 overs in the last Test match. But yeah, I get your point. Okay, well, look, thanks for watching 7 for 12. Get your questions into Harmy. Is he mad? Are India much more in this game than he's suggesting? Is he not giving them enough credit? Well, ask him the question now, and I'll get him to answer it. But next up, moment of the day. Now, DRS came in 2009, so you would have had a bit of DRS towards the end of your career. It sometimes feels like the umpires play a little bit loose with the timer, but certainly there was a moment today when Sharma was trapped on the pad. It was the over after Joe Root had already burnt a review, and he was a bit umming and ahhing, and then by the time he came to it, essentially the umpire said, "No, you've run out of time, mate. You can't review it." If they had done, then Sharma would have been out for 39. So not a huge amount of difference in terms of the runs he scored, but time and pressure and all of that kind of good stuff. Craig Overton has been speaking about that moment. Let's hear what he said.
Right on the borderline. I wasn't quite sure. I thought he might have hit it, and so that's what Catch, the umpire, thought. He thought he had it, but then Jimmy was almost certain at mid-on that he didn't hit it. So we weren't really quite sure. Obviously, that would have been nice if we'd have been half a second earlier and we got that wicket. And with a new ball, when Virat comes in, then you obviously got more of a chance. So it was obviously frustrating for us, but we had to keep going and just keep sticking at it.
Yeah, how big a moment could that have been? I mean, we'll never find out, will we?
No, but I think it was the mood when you overturn or you get a decision go your way is ridiculous. Yeah, the lift that gives the team, the huddle goes bang, and you've overturned the umpire who didn't get it wrong. He just wasn't 100% sure. So you've got the decision right to go to technology. That's what DRS is. And I think if they hadn't have burnt the review before, I don't think Joe would have hesitated. I think he would have gone to it. One thing I will say is it's a good job that Joe Root and Virat Kohli come back, because they're terrible as captains when it comes to the review system, to be honest. But hey, look, it just made for even more theatre of what a great Test match day it was. It was a good bit of bowling. Yes, I can understand, and Craig's right. Craig's spot on right. When I was watching it, there was 2 noises, and from the front, you're the only person that can see. That's why Jimmy was adamant. From the back, Joe's not sure, Joss is not sure because he can't see it. Just go off the noise. Did it hit his pad first? Did it hit his bat? Did it hit both pads? They're the things you've got to way into it. And 15 seconds is a long, long time. But when you've just burnt a review 2 overs earlier and you potentially go wrong and you've only got 1 left, I can understand why he was humming and hawing and he didn't get it in time.
Okay, let's get to the comments section. Okay, Harmy, this is my favourite part of the show, and it's where the viewers can get their questions in. Let's start with Akshay. Hey, Steve, for tomorrow, what one piece of advice would you like to give to the England bowlers to wrap up the Indian batters as soon as possible? And also, what's your take on Curran's bowling form?
First of all, Curran's bowling form, I'm not sure Joe Root trusts him as much as he probably did at the start of the summer or when they decided to pick him. He hasn't given too many overs at business times, probably because Jimmy Anderson swings it, and the bowlers that want, he wants to bowl and he doesn't trust them as much, which slightly concerns me a little bit. I know what it feels like. Back in 2009, I was in the similar position and at the end of the Ashes, and I remember when Andrew Strauss didn't bowl me for long periods of time. I felt as though I was a spare part, and it was a final decision for me to say, I've had enough of this. They don't trust me anymore. Freddie's going, so it's even harder to pick me. But what I did do, and especially at the Oval, it was like, when I come on, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to really show you that you're wrong not to trust me. Didn't get that from Sam today, I must admit. I didn't get that body language or the way he bowled. What advice I would give, I would basically say to them, look, what's got you in this position in the Test match is by bowling tight to off stump, bowling good areas, and let the pitch and the atmosphere do the talking. You haven't bowled badly at all in this innings. You bowled and the played and missed, rub of the green, you get a bit of luck. All of a sudden, it's very difficult to start on this surface. So stick to your guns, keep believing that you're going to get 2, 3, 4 wickets in a quick succession and you'll win the Test match. That's what I'll be telling my bowlers tomorrow morning. Okay, good stuff. Arslan Ahmed says, how would you assess the pitch for day 4? I would say the pitch looks not bad, to be fair. It's spun a little bit off the surface, but all in all, I think the pitch has played reasonably well. I think India have got away from England today because England's bowling plans, rightly so, to a guy who's not got any confidence and not got any runs under his belt, but is a world-class player, has turned up. The world-class player has turned up today. And he hasn't fallen over any. It hasn't hit him on the pad. He's played and missed and not nicked it. You get them some days. So I think the pitch is fine. Spin might turn a little bit more out of the footholes for Mo and Ali, but I thought Joe Root looked probably more effective than Mo and Ali in that little passage of 10 overs at the end of the day than what Mo and Ali did. But all in all, I think this is a good Test pitch.
Yeah, good point. I think after it changed so much on day 1, it's kind of retained. It's just a solid Test pitch, isn't it? Exactly. Yeah. Panaraj says, do you think Anderson was too straight to Pujara early, and that helped him to gain confidence after hitting a couple of boundaries? Good question, Panajav.
Yeah, very good question.
Panaraj.
Very good question. And if you ask Jimmy Anderson, were you too straight? I think Jimmy Anderson will say, I tried to bowl too straight. I tried to bowl it. It's sort of middle stump. I had the field for that. It didn't swing as much than it did earlier, so I was hoping to go middle stump to get it onto middle and off, or middle and off onto off stump to go away, because I know for a fact I'm not bothered if he clips me for a couple. If he clips me for a couple for 4s, he might feel confident enough, falls over one. If he misses it, like he has been doing in the recent past, I've got him out. I'm happily giving him 12 runs for a top player that bats number 3 for India to walk off. I think Jimmy Anderson will say that. Just think when the plans changed, I think the proper Pujara turned up, the Pujara that we know, who is a very, very fine Test match batsman, and he got into a bit of sync and a bit of rhythm, and he batted very, very well. In England, I think, then changed their plans to go outside off stump. But by then, the guy was in, and he was in decent form.
Yeah, good question, Panaraj, and a good point. Akshay says, what was your reaction to Bairstow catch It was a brilliant catch, wasn't it? I actually thought he dropped it. I couldn't work out what had happened. It reminded me a bit of a catch Mark Butcher took. Alex Tudor was bowling about 20 odd years ago, where almost like the fielder looks at his hand and he's like, whoa, I've got the ball in my hand. I've caught the ball.
Well, my reaction was exactly the same as Joe Roots, who was on his knees behind him, and Johnny Bairstow, when he eventually camera panned on him, was just sheer amazement that the ball actually stuck. It flew to slip, and they were standing relatively close because not many catches in this series so far. A lot of balls have gone down, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's the slowness of the pitch, because the bowlers have got a little bit of zip on them. But they were standing relatively close. It was a hard chance, good nick. And one thing I will say about slip catching, if a fielder's fielding at slip to a right-handed batsman, his weight transfer is always going to his right, because left, there's somebody there. The wicketkeeper's there, so right, wicketkeeper's always going to go to his right. First slip will always go to his right. Second slip will always go to his right. The only time second slip goes to his left or third slip will go to the left. It'll be the low catches that isn't going to carry. For me, this was carrying to Joe. Whether Joe was going to get there, I'm not so sure. I think that just made it more of a special catch. That Johnny Bairstow took it to his left because all of his body weight would have been transferring and going to the right. He's a brilliant wicketkeeper, but this time he didn't need the gloves. Yeah,
brilliant catch. It was behind him by the time he caught it. Kind of was looking at it going, whoa, how did that happen? Don't forget to get your questions in to 7 for 12. We'll be doing this following play every day of the series. We've had that one, I think, from Marcel, and that's about the day 4 pitch. But yeah, it's been a cracking 3 days, even though some of us were kind of expecting that the match might be over. But after watching India in Australia at the start of the year, they're never going to give up. I think they batted for 130 overs to save the test match at the SCG, and then went on to the Gabba, which is the graveyard of any visiting team, apart from South Africa. I think South Africa got an all right record there, and did something similar. So, yeah. Well, look, that's about all the questions we've got, but get some more through us tomorrow, and we'll be sure to answer them here on 7 for 12. Okay, then, Harmy, you predicted a comfortable England win by this stage. So your record from the second Test match has taken a little bit of a battering. What's your prediction for day 4 at Headingley here?
Yeah, I've been completely opposite to what I was at Lord's, to be fair. So I'll probably say India are going to win here just to make sure that England win. But no, I still think they're a long way behind. I still think they're miles away from winning this game, especially like I mentioned before with the tail and stuff like that. So for me, I think England will win, even if India do come out. And the one thing the new ball it'll if it's not a wicket, it'll go potentially to the boundary because Joe will have catches in. So I think there will be some runs on offer early in the morning to get the two teams closer together. Do I think England will bat again? No, I don't think they will. I still think England will win by an innings around about mid-afternoon, I would say, in that second session. That little bit of a fight from India, but I'm sticking by my boys. I think ball in the right area with a new ball. Even though there's not as much heavy conditions around, I still think England to win this test match.
Okay, well, look, whatever happens, we'll be back here following all the action on day 4 at Headingley. If you got this far, please like, subscribe and review to the channel. As I say, it's been a brilliant test match. I'm not quite so confident, to be honest, Harmy. I think England bat again. I really do. Might only be set 60 or 70. I think England bat again, but I'm a terrible tipster, so what do I know? Okay, great stuff, Harmy. See you tomorrow, and thank you for watching 7 for 12.